Hey y'all, I'm
Powered by
Kimberly,
Riverside
and
FM.
this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here, you're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone. Hey, y'all, come on in, find a comfortable spot, take a seat. I'm grateful to have you here with me today for episode 6 of the Frolicking Truth podcast for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal, where joy meets justice and nervous systems get free. That doesn't mean that you aren't welcome if you don't identify with any of those descriptors. It just means that when you come ready to listen, ready to learn, and ready to support. So, my name is Kimberland, and I am the founder and visionary behind Minding My Black Ass Business. I know that some of you all are joining me in this phase of my life, but I invite you to go back into the archives and kind of get a part of this journey and understand how I have come to this place, because this has been a lot of work to get here. But I think it is important to understand, right? Because you drop into somebody's life at a particular point, but they have lived life up to that point. And I think all of those experiences are relevant and important. So I invite you to go back to some of the playlists that I have, particularly the ones where I first started the page and where I was talking about why I left the US, the journey that I experienced through education, and how all of that has gotten me to this point. So I wanted to kind of throw that at the top of it, because some people, y'all been rocking with me for a long time. Okay. And I would love for you to tell me in the comments, like, what year that you found me, or what was it that brought you here to this community, because I'm really curious about that. And also, I forget that people may not have been following me. It's been 3 years and a little bit of time that I've been here on YouTube. And I've kind of been in and out sometimes based on what's happening in life. So, the Frolicking Truth, this is my recommitment to be here, and a gift to myself, honestly, and a gift to the future, because last week we talked about we need to be documenting our stories and really thinking about how we are sharing what is happening right now in the world. So I felt like I needed to say that. Okay. But yeah, so I live in Medellin, Colombia, and that comes with a lot of privilege because there is peace outside my door. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen the pictures or the videos that I have put up about the view outside my window. It is a very, very peaceful place. And I have the luxury of being able to turn off my computer and just have complete and total peace around me. And I realize that everyone does not have that opportunity to be able to do that. So I use all of that privilege in trying to help people understand their brains and what they need for themselves to feel stable and settled and grounded. I take back settled and I want to put grounded, to help them feel stabilized and grounded, because that is important to the work that we need to do. The world is set up right now for us not to have that. The world is on fire. What are you doing about it? So that is the title for today. All right. So the first thing that I do is we always have an auntie check in, and that comes from me really understanding that I am an auntie. Like I am. And I am very much okay with that, because I am a cool and cute auntie. Okay. Y'all see this froing. Okay. Y'all see these curls popping. Okay. Sis is cute. And also, I have been on the earth for 40 plus years. So there is some wisdom that I have gathered over that time. And I have had experiences where I'm able to help others, right? So that's the first part of it, is that I have accepted that I'm an auntie. We are okay with that, and we are popping our shit about that. Also, shout out to Teaching for the Culture. Teaching for the Culture is my best friend Bianca's organization and baby. And we do educational advocacy and activism work. And shout out to Bianca that we just won a long trademark battle that was happening. Ooh, child, I'm not going to talk about it here because we'll probably talk about it. We're recording for Heal That Shit this afternoon, which is our podcast together. So we will, I'm sure, get into that on Heal That Shit. But I felt led to put my shirt on today. So this is my Teaching for the Culture shirt. And we teach and transform, empower, educate, coach, and heal. So yeah, so anyway. So this is what I want to talk about for my auntie check-in. Okay, my brain people. I want to talk about where my brain people are, what my brain people are doing, because it's a lot that's happening. So my brain people right now are awake. They are in the office. They are in a very like playful and jovial mood. So very much laughing and leaning into joy, if you will. And that's really interesting to me, actually, because there is still this understanding of the fact that the world is on fire. But my brain people right now are very much accepting that reality and also thinking about the things that I need to do to be able to sustain myself and to help myself to remain involved in the fight and connected to my humanity, if you will. So that's kind of where they are, and very much focused because there is a mission at hand, but also giving myself permission to laugh, because we cannot stay in states of constant terror because that is paralyzing, and we can't escape the terrible things that are happening right now in the world. So we have to be really intentional about stabilizing ourselves and still being able to give ourselves permission to have joy, because it's a lot and it's heavy. So that's where my brain people are right now. And what I was going to say earlier, you know what? Hold on. It's really bothering me that it feels dark. So hold on. I need to open the curtains because I can't do this. Like, though the sun is very much shining bright on my melanin, it's not giving the warmth, and I need the warmth. Un momento, porfa.
A few moments later.
So I often am checking on people that are in my life, especially when they get quiet. So I am a person who I can hear the quiet. I can hear you when you are quiet. And a lot of that is because I want people to also hear me when I am quiet and be intentional about checking in. So I have worked to, when I think about someone, to actually like reach out and for it not to be pressure for them to have to respond in any particular time or any type of way, but just to let them know that I'm thinking about them. So, anyway, I had done that with a few people, and one of them was one of my life coaches. And he reached back out and was trying to, I could tell he was trying to find the words to explain what was happening. And then he was like, so my brain people, this is what's happening. And it's such a powerful communication tool to be able to explain to someone how you are feeling and what is happening inside your brain, because a lot of us Like something, this is how I know that I'm autistic. Like this is how I know. Because many people are first of all not honest when you ask them how they are doing. And it is because many people ask people how they are doing without the intention of actually hearing the truth. And I am one of those people that I do not ask you how you are doing if I don't have the capacity to receive whatever you might say. And I'm grateful that I have certain people in my life who have removed the need to pretend that everything is fine. Because everything is not fine. Everything is not okay. Some things might be okay, and other things are not. The world is on fire. It's not fine. Everything is not okay. And we have to be able to name that, because otherwise we are gaslighting ourselves and we are lying to ourselves. And that makes it very difficult for us to be able to trust ourselves. And we have to be able to trust ourselves to be able to move and to organize and to think and to create. So we have to build capacity within ourselves and our brains to be able to hold space for the totality of the things that we might be feeling. And we have to have people connected to us that actually care enough to listen and who will be honest when asked. So, the reason I said I'm really autistic is because I ask people how they are doing, and sometimes people use emojis as a way to describe how they are doing. I know what I would mean if I use that, but what does that mean to you? I need you to be able to tell me. So, that process is called metacognition, and metacognition is a higher level thinking ability, and it lives in the upper part of our brain. So last week we did brain research and we talked about the different parts of the brain. So this is a part of our upstairs brain, this metacognition. And metacognition means that you are thinking about your thinking. So having a conversation about your brain people, or having a conversation about the natural curiosities that you have when you are listening to someone or when you are experiencing the world, the questions that you're asking yourself, the tours through your brain space of being able to say something is different, or it looks like this, or it looks like that. All of that is metacognition, and that is a higher level thinking skill. We are not able to access metacognition when we are in survival mode. But one of the ways that I have found that it's easier to be able to communicate is to use this concept of brain people. So I was really moved when I was listening to the message from my life coach, because he was able to use that concept in ways that he otherwise might not have been able to explain how he had been feeling and what was going on. So it's something that I want to be more intentional about. So I have an affirmation video that I'm actually going to move to the top of my page right now, because right now it's kind of at the bottom, but it is the most successful video that I have ever had. I think it's at 21,000 views right now. And there are many people who have commented and said that they listen to it every morning. And I have started listening to it as well. I made it 3 years ago when I was living in Mexico City. So that was in 2022. And I made it. And then like a lot of things that I did in my life, I move on to the next things. Like, all right, did that. But recently, God has told me to listen to those affirmations again, because it is my past self, literally my past self, talking to my future self. So there's a lot of wisdom that lived there that I didn't even know what was ahead of us. So, anyway, when I came here today to record, I started out with playing that video because it's important to me that I am practicing what I'm preaching and that there is alignment in what I say and what I do. Because in this world that we're in right now, we don't have time for disingenuous people, disingenuous anything. Say the truth and live in the truth. That's why this podcast is called The Frolicking Truth. There is stability in the truth. Even when the truth is difficult to hear and accept, at least you know that you have the truth and you don't have additional questions or additional harm being caused because someone wasn't honest. So that also applies to the way that I live my life. I am constantly making sure that the things that I say are the things that I do, and the way that I live aligns with the things that I say, that my actions and my words align, that my thoughts and my patterns align. And I cannot have people around me that do not live in truth. I cannot do it. I will not do it. I will not try to do it. It's a lot that comes with that, because the more that you live in truth, the more that you recognize the people that don't. And if you're someone like myself who feels energy and understands that there is energy, it becomes a weight, because if you're not honest, then that means I can't trust what you say. So why are you in my life? Why would I have someone in my life that I cannot trust, that I have to consistently wonder if they are being honest? I don't have time for that shit. I would venture to say none of us have time for that. The world is on fire. We don't have time to be trying to figure out if you say that you're going to do something, whether you're going to do it or not. Like, I need to know that the people that are around me are going to do what they say. And if you're not able to do that, I need you to communicate. That's it. That's it. So anyway, as I've been looking at those different alignments, I am trying to be very intentional about auditing the areas of my life where I may not be aligned. And one of those places is in honoring my routine every day, honoring my meditation, honoring making my tea, honoring stretching, honoring creating or doing something that is putting something positive into the world. So that's why I started off with the meditation, because I want to make sure that I'm doing that. So I figure that we can do that together. So if that's something that you are looking for, just a level of accountability, an opportunity to be able to have a moment to stabilize your nervous system, I invite you to join me in the Patreon, because my accountability checks are going to live there, so that we are all doing what we need to do to be able to honor our brain people and have a calm nervous system. Because when we don't have a calm nervous system, you cannot biologically plan, create, strategize, learn, or think. So if you find yourself lately being in a place of, why is my brain not operating the way that it used to? Or why am I struggling to do X, Y, and Z? One, you're probably on the brink of burnout. So we absolutely need to come up with some type of intentional safety plan for what that looks like. And number two, because your nervous system is in shambles. So you have to, in order to be able to get through whatever situation that you might be in, you have to prioritize your nervous system. You have to. It is not optional. It is not something that you can say, oh, I'm going to do it, at whatever point in time, especially if you're at a place right now where you are already seeing you don't have the capacity that you used to have. We have to honor and care for our brain and our nervous system. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching. Okay, so y'all know I live on the mountain, right? And I want to see, let me see if I could show y'all what I see. So you see the bench and you see the tree, but then like beyond that are the mountains. And I bring that up because it's very peaceful for me. It's very peaceful for me. Okay. But yesterday I had to take the trash out and it's down the mountain. So I had asked the owner, I was like, hey, where's the trash? So he's like, I'm going to show you, right? Now I had asked before and I had tried to go find it and I had no idea what they were talking about. So this is how it was described to me versus what actually happened. Okay. It was described to me as there's a chute by the gate and you just put it in the chute by the gate. And I was like, okay. So I went by the gate and I don't see a chute. Okay. So then I was like, okay, I don't know. So I just had left the bag outside and I was like, I'm going to have to figure it out at some point because this was just like a shopping bag. This was my trial, right? Because I'm autistic. So I need to know I need to know information. I need to understand information. Okay. So that was not enough information for me to be able to successfully take out the trash. So I'm putting it over here. I'll try again on another day. So yesterday was that day. I messaged the owner and I was like, hey, so this time I asked the husband, I was like, can you tell me I need to take out the trash? How do I do that? So he said, oh, you want to come so I could show you. So then I was like, okay. Because I didn't know if he was going to use words or what. So I get up there to the front and he's like, you see down there? You see the building and then you see the tree and that little thing. I was like, down there? He's like, yeah, down there. Next to the building, there's a little tree and then the down there. So I was like, oh, okay. Now, mind you, it had been raining and I thought that this chute was at their gate. So I have on slides. So I was like, I'm really about to have to walk down this mountain. So I asked him, I said, well, maybe I should change and put on my tennis shoes. And it's, because I have on slides. And he's like, oh, I think you'll be fine. So I was like, okay. So I start walking down the mountain. Now, walking down is easier, but also it had been raining. So I didn't want to fall. So I'm like, this was not a good idea. Why did I not put on my sneakers? Like, I did not know that I was going on a hike to take out the trash. So there are some cows that are down there, like all of this. Okay, so I get down there and I take out the trash. But then I had to come back up the mountain. When I tell you, I was so tired. I was like, it's not vertical, but it was steep. Again, I'm in slides. Okay. I am in slides with socks. Okay. Oh my God. It was so much. So by the time I got up to the back up, this whole ordeal, it didn't take long. It probably took about 10 minutes, but I was tired. I was very tired. But also, I think that might be an exercise that I can do now, and it'll help me have my Colombian booty because I have been working on my Colombian booty, but lately I haven't been doing anything to help it, get most the sitting right, So now I can just hike to take the trash and then hike back up the mountain. And that will be my exercise for the day. So that is my auntie check-in. That is what I have been doing. And I will have to keep y'all posted, especially on the progression of my Colombian booty. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it here. And the owners, they'll message and they're like, are you okay? Like you can walk around. And I'm like, hey, I'm peaceful. I am peaceful. And that is what I have been needing is peace. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want visitors. I want to be in peace and quiet and only having to be present for the things that I want to be present for, not having to be pulled by somebody else's agenda. Again, I recognize that that is privilege and also it's been a lot of work to get here. So I'm enjoying that and appreciating that I have the opportunity to be able to have a moment to kind of get away. All right, so I want to talk through our truth is segment. So the truth is kind of like the meat and potatoes of the things that I want to talk about for the day. And the segment really centers around like some type of injustice or something that is happening, something deep that we need to be talking about. Because the truth is we tied. Okay. So this is what this segment is about. So this week, y'all, the world is on fire. The world is literally on fire. Sunday, so I'm working on a project with someone and we had set one of our check-in times as Sunday. So I had to record a video and do some different things. And we had this conversation on Thursday. I had every intention of meeting that deadline. And then Friday, stuff just started popping off. So there have been a lot of protests in Los Angeles, California, around the immigration. What is ICE called? Immigration and Customs Enforcement is the name of it. So I want to show you all some of the things that are happening in the United States with these ICE raids. So again, ICE is Customs and Immigration, and I'm gonna play this without the sound so that I can talk through it. All right. So this is in Los Angeles, California, and there have been protests is what's happening. But as you can see that in the US right now, this man that is occupying the White House and his administration, they have been terrorizing the people of several cities. So Los Angeles, it's been happening in Chicago, it's happening in Minneapolis, it's happening in Texas. So as people are going to their children's graduations, people are going to church, people are going to court dates that they actually have because they have applied for immigration protection. That video that they were just showing a moment ago, they ran over that man. They're running over people with cars because ICE agents are masked and kidnapping people is what's happening. And there are also instigators who are inciting violence. So we saw these things happening during the 2020 elections. We saw people being planted into the protests to cause violence so that there would be a reason to be able to meet otherwise nonviolent protesters with violent force. And in 2020, there were talks about declaring martial law and sending in the National Guard. So in California, the governor, Gavin Newsom, basically got on the news and because Trump has been threatening to arrest him and hold him in contempt and all this kind of stuff, right? So a news reporter was like, Governor Newsom, President Trump has said that he's going to arrest you for impeding progress and all this. And Governor Newsom said, he know how to find me. Like he was basically, hey, pull up, because what are you doing right now? And I really want to say we need more of that energy. It's about damn time. It's about damn time because I personally have been talking about this stuff since 2020. I did a video series and it's here on my YouTube page. It was originally recorded in 2020. And in that video, it was the day that Donald Trump walked out of the White House. There was a nonviolent Black Lives Matter protest. He walked out of the White House and walked across the street to the church and held up the Bible for a photo op. And in order for him to be able to do that, the police force, I don't know what branch it was. I don't know if it was military or if it was state police or what, I don't know. But whoever the policing unit was used violence to clear out that area so that he could take that picture. And I said on that day in the recording, I said, I wanted to open the window and yell, fuck this country so loud because what the hell is happening? That was in 2020. And now it's 2025, and we are seeing that and more. I need us to accept that. I need us to process that. I need us to understand and recognize what is happening in front of our faces. Because what people are saying is in LA that parts of the city are in chaos, like I was showing you, because of the protests and because of the militarized police force. But the rest of the city is going on with business as usual. And a part of the reason is because this is targeting immigrants. And in the US, immigrants are demonized consistently. Immigrants are blamed for everything that is wrong with the country. Immigrants are blamed for the election and they can't even vote. Immigrants don't vote. I don't know if y'all knew that. Like, I'm an immigrant here in Colombia. I cannot vote. They're allowing me to be here, but I don't have the rights of a citizen. I don't have citizenship, right? So immigrants have nothing to do with the election at all. Yet immigrants are being blamed for that. So because there was this targeted effort to dehumanize a particular population of people, now people are turning a blind eye to it. Oh, it's just the immigrants. Well, they're illegal anyway. They shouldn't be here anyway. They're aliens. They're this, they're that. And it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly dangerous because when we allow ourselves to be desensitized to the suffering of someone else, you don't see that it's coming for you. And I need us to understand that immigrants in the US are not just Latin people. All immigrants are not Mexican. All immigrants are not from a Hispanic originating country. There are lots of Black immigrants as well from various parts of Africa, from Haiti, from elsewhere in the world of the diaspora, from the Caribbean. Like, there are people who actually do look like us. If you want to divorce yourself from an immigrant struggle because they don't look like you, there are people who look like us that are immigrants. I have an intern that I work with, and she's from the islands. And we've had conversations about her being afraid to call the police because the police will hear her accent and then she might be rounded up. Even she's in the country legally. But that hasn't stopped anything from happening. So that's the first thing I need us to check our bias. I need us to check our bias. And this is the thing. Let me sip some tea. Hold on. Hold on. Just un momento, porfa. Let's talk about bias. Let's talk about bias. First of all, I want us to know that we all have it, okay? We all have bias. So, unconscious bias is when we make judgments or decisions on the basis of our prior experience, our own personal deep seated thought patterns, assumptions, or interpretations, and we are not aware that we are doing it. Unconscious bias is something that we all have, right? I am biased towards girls, especially girls in science and math and STEM. because I think it that girls have been marginalized, and especially Black girls have been marginalized and treated as if they are to be consumed. So when I see girls who are in science and math, hey sis, what you need? What do you need, sis? Cause I'm finna be in your corner, right? I am biased towards Black people. I want all Black people to win. I want us to win because we are brilliant. We are creative. The world has taken our intellectual property and used it for their consumption. I want us to win. I am biased towards Black people. My page is called Minding My Black Ass Business. My work that I do for life coaching, intuitive melanated life coaches. Okay. I am biased towards my people. And also because of my lived experience, I am biased against white people. And let me talk about me and white people for a second. And not like my history, but how I categorize them. So I believe that there are two types of white people. There are white people and there are people who happen to be white. White people do not know that they are white. They don't want to accept that they are white. They are like, if you call them white, they they clutch their pearls. They weaponize their tears. They support the systems that keep other groups of people marginalized because they appreciate the privilege that they have in their whiteness, and they also don't name the privilege that they have. Then you have people who happen to be white. And these people recognize that they live in a white body. And because they live in a white body, that they have more power, that they have more protection, that they have more privilege because they live in a white body. And because they recognize that, they choose to use that privilege to help others. So, you all may or may not know that there is an active genocide that is happening in Palestine right now. There's another in the Congo, in Sudan, and probably other places around the world that we just haven't heard about yet. And particularly the situation happening in Gaza and in Palestine, the things that are happening to the Palestinian people. They being Israel, has denied food and humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people that live there. What we came to understand, many of us, because in the US, they do not teach us about global history. That is world history. It's a crying shame about how little we learn about the world being educated in the US. Anyway, October 7th, 2023, Hamas bombed Israel. And it started this version of what has been happening to the Palestinian people, come to find out, since the Nakba and 1940, whatever, I think it was 48, after World War II, and the Israeli people stole the land from the Palestinian people and have effectively created this apartheid system where Palestinian people have lived as second class citizens in their own home because Israelis decided they wanted to colonize somebody else's land. Does this sound familiar to anybody? So, anyway, so that has been going on. And the reason I bring it up is because a lot of the protests that we have been seeing regarding Palestine and regarding Gaza and the things that are happening have been white people that have been at the forefront. And just the other day, the attempt was to take aid into Palestine, and Israel stopped the flotilla. And one of the people that was on the flotilla is Greta, I think it's Thunberg is her name. And she's Swedish, white lady, but they were interviewing her and asking her, how did they treat you? And what did this look like and sound like? And every time she kept bringing it back to, there's an active genocide that's happening, and they're actively starving people in Palestine, and we have to help them. That is an example of a person who happens to be white. So someone who lives in a white body, but they are willing to put their body on the line to be able to help other people because they realize that they are protected because they live in a white body. So when I say I have bias towards white people, I do not fool with people who do not know that they are white. I don't. because what I recognize is that the disease of whiteness, it is a cancer. It is a cancer. And someone who does not want to recognize and acknowledge that they are white and that they have more privileges in this world because they are white is someone that is dangerous and will cause harm to me, whether it is intentionally or unintentionally, because they are not in a place of examining their bias. So I am constantly thinking about the biases that I own and examining those biases to ensure that I'm not harming people. Even when I say I have a bias towards Black people, not over my commitment to the truth and to humanity. We cannot escape bias. We have it. But recognize it. And then what are you doing with that? All of that started popping off on Friday. And then I heard about the Freedom Flotilla. And then Amanda Seals just did a freedom ride the other day. There are also people that are heading on foot to Palestine. So it's a lot like that's going on around the world. That's why I said the world is on fire. So then my question is, what are you doing about that? Because this is all of our issue. Now, it's important to understand too that everybody's role is not to be at the protest or on the front lines of the protest. That's not everybody's role. Okay. I am not somebody who is going to protest. I'm not doing it. And you know why? Because I don't know how to stop. I don't know. I will get arrested. I will be in custody and I will most likely be harmed. So I don't need to put myself into that situation. That is not the best use of my gifts and talents. And sometimes what happens during these times is people are wanting everybody to be out at the protest. Now, granted, yes, there is power in numbers and there's power in a collective voice. However, everybody should not be there. Everybody is not skilled and trained to be there. Like the art of protesting, it is serious business. Like there's certain clothes that you need to wear. Like for instance, I just saw a post the other day and they were like, do not wear contacts if you're going to a protest. Make sure that you have some type of covering for your nose and mouth in case they use pepper spray. You need to be in clothes that are easily able to be removed if necessary. You need to dress in layers. Like there's actual things that you need to do when you're protesting that you need to know. And if you don't know those things, it becomes dangerous and you become dangerous to other people because now you're not equipped and you're not ready and you're not trained. So now you're a liability because we got to make sure you're okay. We can't just leave you here. But if you would have known these things, you might not be in that situation. So everybody doesn't have that skill set. But even in that, so for instance, when the Black Lives Matter protests were happening, people were doing the protesting. Then you had people who were taking pictures, the historians, the photographers, the videographers, the people that are documenting that this is happening. Because again, the future needs to know that we did fight back. There were people who were nurses and medical personnel who were tending to the people that were getting hurt, that were helping people if they did get pepper spray in their eyes. I think you're supposed to pour milk onto your face if there's pepper spray. So there were aides and stations to be able to help people. There were people who were in charge of making sure that people ate, right? So our chefs and people who know how to cook, our caterers, those people were showing up because there has to be some type of nourishment if you are out here fighting on the front lines. There are people who amplified the message, like myself, who can get on, who have a following, who have a platform, and are like, this is what's happening. This is what you need to do. There are independent journalists who are documenting what's happening and spreading the news. All of these things are necessary when we are fighting against a burning world. So our job is to figure out what our role is. Now, my role has shifted some in that my role has now become about the healing part of it. Because the other thing in activism work is so exhausting. It's exhausting And it's also lonely because for people who choose to be unaware, activism feels like you are talking to a brick wall. Like it feels like you are screaming out into a vacuum and nobody is listening unless you are around the people that see what you see and understand what you understand. So in that time where you're out there and you're fighting, like it's exhausting. And there also has to be a place to come where your spirit can rest and recharge so that you are able to go back out and fight. So I now understand that my role is in helping people in the recuperating and the rest and recharge after the fighting. It's why I talk about having a calm nervous system. It's why I talk about being able to stabilize yourself. Because if you are constantly in the fighting, you cannot ever do anything else but fight. And if you continue fighting and don't have anybody else to tag in, then you become a casualty of the circumstances. So, since 2020, and I keep saying this because, yes, I told y'all, I told you so. I told you this was happening. I told you it was going to happen. Like, since 2020, I have been urging people to understand their role, to understand their spiritual gifts, to understand how they are supposed to show up in whatever lane that you need to show up in. If you are someone who wants to take on the nourishing needs of people, you're a chef, you're a cook, you're a baker, you're someone who your gift is through food. How are you using that food to help others? How are you using that food to be medicine? If you're someone who is a medical professional, how are you empowering people so that they can advocate for themselves? And even thinking about alternative medicine and ways to use herbs to be able to heal so that we don't have to depend on the systems that we recognize are killing us. I have another friend, she helps people build gardens. So she comes to their home, she helps them set up their gardens so that they now have a sustainable food source that is not dependent on the government. All of these things are necessary, and all of this is a part of the fight. So, your soul work for this week is for you to tell me what your role is in this fight. What is your role in the healing and liberation of this world? And I think even asking yourself the question, where have I been hiding? So, what skill, what sacred knowledge do you have that could help set somebody else free? I want you to share that in the comments because we have to build community, y'all. We have to. It is absolutely necessary. And we're not going to be able to survive this if we do not have community. And it's crazy because, like, when I lived in the US, I would go to work and I would go home and I didn't talk to my neighbors. I didn't really talk to anyone. Granted, I was very active in my students' community, but the way that our life is, it teaches us to be separate and apart and alone. And there are people who actually want to have community, but then the question becomes, how do you show up in community? Because it's not just about things that we're interested in. Like that a lot of times brings people together, a common interest, but it really is more about common investment. Being intentional about investing in yourself and investing in others. Being intentional about recognizing that there are other people in this world, and together we are able to make a change and make a difference. So, learning to show up for each other. Like, we have to choose to be good people. We have to actively choose to be a good person. It's something that you learn how to do. And the unfortunate part about it is we were born as good people, and then the world turns us into people who no longer can see the good. So our work is really to process that, be angry at the system, and then make a choice to be a good person. It's not natural for us, but it is a way that we can make a consistent daily choice and we can turn it into a spiritual practice of showing up for other people. But the first thing you got to do is show up for yourself. That's the first thing. You have to show up for yourself so that you can show up for others. So at the top of the show, when I was talking about the brain research and how are your brain people responding? What does your nervous system look like? That is the work that we have to do on ourselves so that we are able to show up in community. It's all connected and it is our responsibility. It's our responsibility as the elders to show up for the generations that are coming behind us. It is our responsibility. So, my charge is for you to figure out what that looks like and what that sounds like for you, because every one of us has a role. So, you really do have to decide what that role looks like for you. So that is our soul work for the week. And again, I would like for you to tell me in the comments what that looks like and sounds like for you. So I do want to be intentional in saying that I'm looking for the healers. I'm looking for healers, creatives, coaches, teachers, counselors, truth tellers, bridge builders. I'm looking for you. Okay. I am hosting another cohort of Discover Your Destiny. And Discover Your Destiny is the first step. If you are wanting to become a certified life coach, it is the first step that you have to take. But it is not just for people who want to become certified life coaches. Discover Your Destiny is for people who realize that they need to have a deep personal relationship with God. They need to understand who God is, who God has created them to be. Discover Your Destiny is for people that are looking to reconnect to their bodies and understand how their brain and their heart and their spirit work together to be able to operate in purpose. So I am preparing for the new cohort. It's a 10-week program and it's learning. Nah, y'all know I'm a teacher. Okay. So it really is. I feel like it is almost like a college credit course in the ways that you are able to transform during this process. So if you or someone you know has been really wanting to live a more deeper and connected life and really wanting to understand your role in all of this, please do go to kimberlynjackson.com. I need you to sign up for my email list. On the website, you're able to see information about Discover Your Destiny. You can look at the table of contents. If you go to dyd25.com, you will be able to also see videos and testimonials and see the different life coaches that have already been certified. Here on YouTube, if you go to the playlist Discover Your Destiny, you can hear from the people that have been a part of it. You can hear me talk about how I created it and what that process and journey has looked like. So I am opening that invitation, okay? And I am about to start opening up enrollment for people. Payment plans are absolutely available, and there will be a kickoff special to register people for when I'm ready to open registration. So there will be a limited time of a discounted price. So I'm telling you now. Okay, so you could get yourself in order about what that would look like. Again, it's a 10-week program, but it is transformational and it is necessary right now because many of us do not know what that looks like. We don't know what it looks like for us to show up and really be in our purpose, and this is also a way to have additional community for people who are looking to be a part of communities. Again, KimberlynJackson.com, dyd25.com. we'll get you the information about Discover Your Destiny and all of those things. All right. I already mentioned joining the inner circle. So, again, if you're like, I like this vibe, I feel like I want to support this, I want to support this work, I want to support you, it is $5 a month to join the Patreon. And the Patreon is Minding My Black Ass Business. I would love to have you there and, again, be a part of that inner circle, get the information before anybody else does so that we are able to show up for ourselves and each other. So I also want to invite you to join me there. Minding My Black Ass Business on all platforms. So that's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and at Kimberland J on Instagram is another place that you are able to find me. If you are looking to leave the US, and you are trying to figure out what that looks like, you need a personalized plan, please go to findingpeaceabroad.com, and there you can schedule time on my calendar where I can work with you to develop that personalized plan. Okay. And lastly, if you are a Black woman who is neurodivergent or struggling with burnout or processing what it means to be a Black woman in this world, I invite you to join me in my healing circles. They happen every other Saturday. It is free. If you go to tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle, you will be able to register to join the healing circle. And it's a place for us to hold space for each other and also walk away with strategies to be able to calm our nervous systems. It's always going to come back to that. Okay. So again, tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle. So having said that, let me go ahead and close with our quote of the week that kind of wraps everything up. And this week's quote is by Angela Davis. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. So, give me your comments and let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your role is going to be in this fight. And I look forward to having and building this community so that we are all able to support each other. Bye, y'all. Thank you for listening to The Frolicking Truth, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. Please be sure to like, rate, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, and follow me on all social platforms. Until next time.